My name is Pervez Nasim. I'm from Toronto, Canada. We established a cooperative in Toronto by the name of Islamic Co-operative Housing Corporation Limited some 20 years ago. Uh, in those days, we were struggling with the situation where we were looking for an alternate to buy house, because many of us who came to Canada and also in US as students, we wanted to complete our studies and go back to our countries. But because of the political situation and other situations, we could not do that. So we stayed and decided to stay in wherever we were, and we had families there, and we were facing a major problem. We needed houses for our family, how to buy a house without interest, and there was no alternate, no help from anywhere. And many of us were also facing a situation where we had some money and we wanted to invest. So where do we invest? We kept money in the banks, in the checking account, didn't collect any interest, but at that time the inflation rate was high and we were losing the value. So we were in desperate need to find an alternate. So some of us put our heads together in Toronto and we came up with this idea that if we can form this cooperative and make it as a financial institution to help the need of both those who have some money, those who want to invest, and also those who need money to buy houses without interest. We started with only 17 members and $17,000 commitment from the community, and we were given the mandate to find some way to get this established. So we were facing this problem as to how do we go about. I mean, we could have formed a small group of 20, 25 people, pool our money and help each other, and that would be the end of it. But we thought if we make an institution, it will be a long-term thing, perpetual existence, and we can attract a lot of other Muslims from other cities of Canada and help them, because we knew that they will be facing the same problem in other cities, not just in Toronto. So alhamdulillah, we came up with this idea that we can go through this route of cooperative. Now in cooperative, we had to form it such a way that there are three legislations we had to comply. One is the Sharia law for most, and second is the law under which we were to incorporate, which is the Cooperative Act, and third is the taxation. So we had to make this institution tax efficient, so we minimize the tax aspect. I work in that area in the Ministry of Finance full time, so this was my field, taxation. So we worked in such a way that we found a model, we developed a model through which we can develop a system which will comply all three laws. If somebody look at our bylaws, our regulations, the procedure we have, they may wonder why we do things certain way. There is a reason for that, because it has to comply the other side of it. The concept we are using is the musharaka concept, what we call it a decreasing partnership, where a member and co-op contribute certain amount and we buy a house and we jointly own that house, although the title is taken in the name of the co-op, and the members select the house themselves and we buy this house together, and they pay a monthly rent to the co-op, which is in the ratio of the ownership. If co-op, for example, contributes 70% and member contribute 30% to buy this house, and we determine the rental value for the house, say it comes to $1,000, so the members pay $700 a month to the co-op as rent, and they are required to increase their ownership in that house over a period of time. This is a very flexible system. There is no fixed term. As they buy more shares, the rent they pay the following month goes down. So it's very motivating for them. Instead of buying new furniture, new car, making trips, they buy more shares. So if somebody buy 5% more shares, say end of June, then the rent they pay July 1st decreased by 5%. So it helps them, to plan things. And we have seen many of our members have completed 100% ownership of the house within 7 years, which is unthinkable under the conventional system where it takes 25 to 30 years. And because it is flexible, it's open. Whenever somebody has any money, they just buy more shares and they get immediate relief in the rent. And this way, they are able to complete 100% ownership in a very short time. Now, when they complete 100% ownership, we evaluate the house. If there is a gain or loss in the house, the value goes down and up. Mostly it goes up, but it has gone down too. So we share both gain and loss. Co-op share 10% and members share 90% of it. Many people ask us as to why we have this ratio when, say, co-op is putting 70% and member is putting 30%, yet member is getting 90% of the appreciation. And the reason for that is that we have made our members responsible for the upkeep and maintenance. You can imagine we have houses all over Canada. We just cannot afford to go and check each and every house how they are keeping it. If they are maintaining it well, it's to their advantage. If they take poor care of the house, they lose most of it. So this is an incentive for them. They maintain it well, they take good care of the house. So whatever the appreciation in the value, they get 90% of it. So we don't have to worry about it. Another thing we have done in this, that sometime it happens that the people buy a house, maybe it's too small now because the family has grown, they have grown up children or parents have joined them, or perhaps they move to another city, they find another job somewhere, they move another state or another province in Canada. So we allow that. They can sell those houses and they can buy another house in the new city or a bigger house. So what we do that when they sell this house, so any gain or loss as a result of this sale is shared as well. In the same way, if at that time member own more than 50% shares in the house, then the gain and loss is shared as 10-90 the same. But if the ownership is 50% or less, then it is 20% to the co-op and 80% to the member. So here's another flexibility for them, so they are not stuck that they have a lease for 15 years or 10 years. So it's flexible for them, and that's what our members appreciate a lot. Now, from the point of view of the investors, we have a lot of members who are just investors. We have some institutional investors, for example, the mosque, Islamic centers, Islamic schools, some even private businesses. They have put some money and invested to help the community to buy a house without interest. So those investors, they get dividend on their investment. Our share is $100 each, and they get a quarterly dividend, calculated quarterly, given at the end of the year, but it is calculated on quarterly holdings. And those shares are redeemable. They can redeem any time they want, so it's not that they're stuck or they have some penalty to pay, or there's no fee or charges for selling the shares or buying shares, because it is a community organization. Basically it is there to help the community, and we, the board members, are all volunteers in this organization to help the community. So those shares are redeemable, they can sell, and they get the dividend. The rental income which co-op collects from the members, it is divided to the investors, shareholders. 80% of this income, according to our bylaws, has to be distributed as dividend. So the maximum board can spend on the operating expenses is 20% of the income. So last year we gave $7 per share, which is 7% dividend. This year also we gave 7%. Year before was 6.8. The highest dividend we gave 10%. The lowest was 6%, which is very good compared to what banks are giving in Canada. It's 2.5%. So you can see the benefit there for the community. While we were helping our members to buy houses, they came to us and they said that they want to buy a car, and the prices of cars have gone up so much. There was a time when you can buy a house in Toronto for $35,000. Now cars are costing $25,000 or $30,000. So they were facing the same problem. So we developed another project to help them buy a car without interest. Another situation we observed, that many of our community members who are professionals, medical doctors, engineers, professors. They were not taking tax advantage of a program we have, which is what we call the retirement saving plan. In Canada, same like we have here, IRA account. So many of our community members were not putting money in those plans and taking tax advantage because it involved riba. Only the banks and insurance companies were offering that program. So we developed our own program through one of our sister company called Ansar Co. So our members can contribute money to this plan, and through a trustee they get a tax receipt and they get the tax deduction, and we direct the trustee to invest this money in our own company, and through that company, Ansar Co, we are financing car purchases, we are financing lease program, and also business financing. Business financing we do the same way on Musharaka. Some projects we have done on Murabaha basis as well, and now we are embarking on some major projects. We have purchased a medical building in Toronto. We have set up a clinic in that building, and other rooms are rented in that building. And the latest project we have in our province, Alberta, where we have purchased 110 lots, and we are building houses there in partnership with a local builder. So this is a major undertaking we have. It's about $6 million project. And we have another commercial property project in Alberta. We bought plaza for $2.6 million. So we are taking investment for those commercial projects. So we are moving into the other direction as well, because the business and economic activity is the backbone for the community. So we have to expand in those areas and be self-sufficient in the economic activity. And one very important accomplishment we have is that we are providing employment opportunities for our youngsters, for our community members. Young people, they want summer jobs. Our sisters, they want some job for summer in an Islamic environment where they can dress properly, they can wear hijab. So we welcome them and provide them. So with this small seed of $17,000, our projects have grown to almost $40 million, and we have created 25 jobs through these projects in Canada. Well, that's where I think we have to have effective management and a plan and a policy that we want to operate our businesses without riba. A major problem comes when you need funds and you don't have those funds available through the shareholders, through on the equity basis. Then you go and borrow money. So we don't undertake any project unless we have funds available. So our motive is to get these projects on equity sharing basis. So we look for partners, investors in our projects, and once we have those, only then we make commitments. And I mean, there is money available among Muslims. A lot of Muslims have lots of money, but they don't know where to invest. These days, you see a lot of people are going to mutual funds. Some are advertising those mutual funds as Islamic mutual funds. There is no such thing as Islamic mutual funds. What we have now is mutual funds which are acceptable from Sharia point of view. And again, that acceptance has been given by the Sharia scholars on a transitional basis, that they allow certain maximum ratio of income which is interest based, and also the equity certain maximum ratio where they can have interest based bonds. But these are transitional rules which Sharia scholars have allowed, because eventually they will have to phase these out, and for that we have to prepare ourselves, that we have our own large companies, our own public companies. Because with these mutual funds, what we are doing, we are collecting funds from the Muslims and giving it to the non-Muslims, where we have no say, no control. But if we put into our own companies, we have our own projects, we manage those projects ourselves, and we run them Islamically 100% halal, 100% acceptable from Sharia point of view, and we can set the policies which is beneficial for the community. Because in Islamic companies or Islamic banks, it's not just that they don't deal in riba. No, there is much more than riba. The ethics, how you operate the business, morally, you have to be concerned about the environment, you have to be responsible socially. You cannot make decisions which maximize the profit and it causes some harm to the community at large or to the environment or the social structure of the society. You cannot do that as a Muslim company or Islamic bank. So it's not just riba that you have to say that we don't want to deal in riba, but there are other aspects of these ethical values we have to focus on, and that we can do only when we are controlling those companies, we are managing those companies. If we just continue to do this the way some mutual funds are doing, really in the long run we are not benefiting from these things. And we know that there are a lot of dollars available for investment in Western countries and also in Middle East, and if we can channel them properly into our businesses, then we can benefit as a community. Yes, we have been approached by a number of non-Muslims who wanted to join because when we explained to them, they really liked that, and they said it's very fair, very ethical, and also economical from their perspective. In fact, I had an interview televised by our national TV in Canada last year, and as a result of that interview, we got a lot of emails and calls from non-Muslims, and they were very much interested. And we were debating whether we open the membership to non-Muslims, but the concern was expressed that we Muslims are joining hands in the co-op because of faith, not because it is cheap. So today interest rate is low, then people may not want to join. When interest rate goes up, then they want to come to the co-op. When interest rate goes down, then they want to leave co-op because it's cheaper on the other side. But for Muslims, it doesn't matter. I mean, you go to a supermarket, you don't look at the price of the pork or bacon. They may be selling it 29 cents a pound. You don't care. You can compare the price between maybe beef and lamb and chicken, which is fine, but you don't want to compare with pork. So this is where we sort of hesitated in opening the membership, but we are planning that eventually we will, because I mean, if it is good for Muslims, I'm sure this system is good for non-Muslims too, but somehow we have to explain this to them and then offer them this service. There are a lot of things happening not only in Muslim countries but also in Western countries. I mean, we can divide the world into three categories. If you look at the global opportunities of Islamic banking and finance, we can divide this world into three categories. One type of the country or category of the countries are which are operating under the principle of Islamic Sharia. And there are very few countries you can name, I mean, where on government level they are doing something about it, which is Iran and Sudan and Malaysia. And to some extent now Pakistan is making an effort, although it has not reached that goal as yet, but it's making an effort. The second category of the people or the countries is where government is not taking the lead, but they are allowing private sector to establish themselves under the Islamic Sharia system of finance. And there we have a number of Western countries. In US you have LARIBA here and many other institutions. In Canada we have, in Australia, in South America, Trinidad they have, in Luxembourg they have, in Switzerland, even in Germany, in England. So there are those countries where government is allowing They are not changing the laws, but within the existing laws, they are letting them work as an investment company, not as a bank, but as an investment company or as a co-op in our case. Third type of category is where the 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 countries where the government is somehow reluctant to let anything go in that direction, which is very unfortunate. Uh, they are not doing anything to encourage. In fact, they are discouraging. And we hope with the success we see in some of the Western countries about the Islamic financial institution, that those governments will change their attitude and their policies, and they will, at least on a pilot basis, test basis, they will allow certain institutions to work and see how it goes. But I see a lot of opportunities in future because many Muslims are realizing this, that they have been involved in interest, and it's a very serious thing. I don't think you can find any verse in the Holy Quran where Allah says that if you don't stay away from riba, then be prepared for a war from Allah and His Prophet. I don't think there is any other warning like that about this. In riba you will find that. Be prepared for a war from Allah and His Prophet. And in my view, this war is not going to be with the plane or tank or bomb, but this is what we see, what is happening to us as a ummah all over the world. What's happening in our families, what's happening in our social values, our morale, our ethics. I mean, we are really lacking. We are not model Muslims as we were supposed to be. So we can invite others to Islam. We are not practicing Islam ourselves. So how can we attract others? So this is a major problem. So many of us are realizing this, and we get calls from a lot of people this way, and that they say that they have a house, they bought it through Ribawi finance, and they want to get out, and we help them. We put them into our system and pay off their mortgages and bring them to the Islamic system. So there is a big awareness, especially what I'm finding is in the young generation. I heard a case where a father called me and he said, my son is only 22 years old and he is giving me a notice. I said, what notice? He said that he gave me a notice that either I sell the house or he's moving out. He doesn't want to live in a house which was bought under Ribawi system. So here you see an example how young people are taking this in a serious matter, and they are challenging their parents that just sitting idly is not an option. They have to do something about it today, tomorrow. At least they should be planning something rather than just taking for granted that there is no alternate. So I see a lot of opportunities for Islamic banking and finance in Western countries, especially in North America, which is really world center for financial activity. Whatever happens in Toronto, New York, has effect in Muslim countries too. So you can imagine if we have successful implementation of Islamic banking and finance in North America, then it will follow to Muslim countries. They will adopt just like that. Well, this is a very good point. Uh, Mind you, we are underestimating the money Muslims have. We have a lot of money invested all over the world. I mean, that can be channeled. If we Muslims in North America can demonstrate that we can establish and run Islamic financial institution in an efficient way with integrity and honesty, then certainly we can attract that money. Not only this, but we have a lot of institutions which are owned by non-Muslims. They are willing to invest. The example you have now is Fannie Mae, which is collaborating with the American Finance House. They are helping. So here's millions of dollars coming to Islamic finance, and other institutions I'm sure will follow. There are banks even in Canada who have expressed interest in providing the funds, but the only thing is that we have to present the model, and we have to educate Muslims or non-Muslims how to run, how the system works, and for Muslims that they realize that what they are doing is wrong, they have to get out of it, and also to educate them that there is an alternate available through which they can buy these houses or whatever they want to do under the Islamic system. It's a difficult task. I'm not suggesting that we can accomplish this overnight or even in 1 or 2 years. We need to have a plan to gradually expand and grow ourselves, and one day I'm sure you will find non-Muslim bankers coming to Islamic finance, because you see, one thing we have to understand is that if I am doing something because of faith, whether it is business or buying house, and my focus is that I want to please my Creator and follow His commandments, and that's why I am doing what I am doing, then there is no way I will default or cheat. In house purchase, in businesses, sometimes you may have genuine losses. I'm not denying that, but it will not be intentional. As we see in conventional finance, people plan bankruptcies. I mean, sometimes people feel this, well, bank is ripping me off, so I have to rip bank off, and they plan bankruptcy and let the bank holding the bag. But when you are talking about Islamic finance, and as a person who is getting this money on a partnership basis from a bank or institution, he will do his utmost to do his part, his responsibility, and most likely there will not be a loss as such to the bank. So when you see this is happening, then non-Muslim bankers would want to finance Islamic projects. I mean, one thing you see again in the insurance business, we have a very comprehensive Islamic insurance system. It's not being practiced, lately. Now in Malaysia and in some Middle Eastern countries, they are establishing on takaful, which is the Islamic concept of insurance, which is takaful. So they are establishing. So in insurance, when somebody is putting money in the insurance company or buying these policies, so the Islamic concept is that it's a mutual insurance. So if there is any money left over in the plan, in the insurance fund or the premium fund, it is owned and shared by the policy holders, not by the company. So it's a mutual. So the policy holders, they are also the owners or shareholders of the company. Excuse me. So as an owner, you have no reason to file false claim to the insurance company or to cheat or lie. And you know that if your claim in a year is less and there is money left over in the pool, you will get back yourself. So there's no need for you to cheat or lie. So similarly, in the Islamic finance, if I know that I'm doing this business, and if this business flourishes, I will share the gain of it. Also, my partner, the banker, will also share of it. So I will act very responsibly, because if business fail, I also lose. If I have put 50% and bank has put 50%, we both have the same stake in the business. So I will not be lazy or inefficient or deliberately doing something to harm my business, because I will lose too. So bank also get the benefit of my acting in a responsible manner. So when you see this, a lot of non-Muslim bankers, they will come to Islamic finance because they know they are carrying less risk of defaults and bankruptcies and cheating and all that. and they see that they are sharing the profit or the gain, because in many industries, many projects, sometimes they make 40-50% profit, but bank, if they have loaned money at 8 or 10%, they get only that. Rest goes to the business entrepreneur. But here, if business is making 50%, the bank is making 50% too. So they will be more willing to come to Muslim businesses and encourage. They will be encouraged to participate that way.